Alright, well, I tried recording this a few times. I thought I did pretty well. I just had a bunch of background issues happening, but hey, it's me, Mickey, I'm back. A little bit burned out, but I figured, hey, it's after Halloween. Uh, I could get back into the swing of things a little bit, switch up my content a little, like just a tad. I hope you guys don't really mind. I know it's a little bit after Halloween, but this month I did watch Jason and all the Freddy films, Friday the 13th, The Nightmare on Elm Street. And as a kid, I never really watched these kinds of films. Like, long story short, when I was like 4 years old, I like saw Chucky like on the TV, and my mom was there watching, and I was like, "Oh, that doll's cute," and she straight up just told me, "It's a doll that kills people." So like growing up, I grew up kind of scared of horror movies, and it's just I never really saw anything like this. Like I just want to talk about my experiences with the films as somebody who's never really like watched too many horror films. Like I have, like I've seen It and The Grudge and stuff like that before, but that was like years later. I must have been like in high school. And anyways, I just want to talk about these Jason Freddy films and what I thought about them. So here's my thing. I just want to see like tell you what my favorite out of the two is, what my favorite in the franchises, etc. So I've seen all the Freddy films except for the reboot, and I've seen all the Jason films except for Jason X, and also like once again the reboot. Um, but I have seen Freddy vs. Jason, so I feel like I'm pretty kept up with what's been out there, because obviously there hasn't been a Freddy or Jason film in a very long time, and I know a lot of that is due to like rights disputes, etc. So that's a little iffy. But just keep in mind that there's gonna be spoilers in this discussion, I guess. Um, so I'm gonna just start with Jason, since Friday the 13th is what I saw most recently. So I have to say the first film I feel like is pretty well made. Uh, I noticed that like if you want to see some titty, you go ahead and watch some Friday the 13th, because there's always a nude woman. They go skinny dipping and stuff like that a lot. Um, in fact, I'm pretty sure one of the things that Jason doesn't like is people having sex and shit. Because I wasn't really gonna curse this video, but screw it, I already did. But considering that's how he like died basically, because the counselors were doing their thing while he was drowning. But I guess they do all this, sexual stuff to appeal to the youngins in the theaters, even though it's rated R. But regardless, I think that it was like pretty cool that it was like the first movie was like an origin story to Jason, and it just basically leads to the next films. Now, obviously, it wasn't a twist that it was Jason's mom when he first watched it, but like knowing that it like Jason's like the next slasher in like the next films, so I feel like it was a pretty good twist for like knowing all that. That was nice. Um, Once again, though, like if you're like in the 80s when you first saw it, you're like, oh, it's just a slasher film. Okay, it was his mom. That's crazy. Um, but I do like how they thought ahead, like for what's to come. Like, for instance, having Jason show up at the end was like a really good indicator. Um, Again, I think the second one was interesting too. Like Jason didn't have his hockey mask yet, obviously, but as a slasher, I feel like it was actually like very well made. Um, and I noticed that both like the Freddy and the Jason films get like more wacky as the series continues. I guess you have to add a little more like craziness to keep the audience watching, hence you get stuff like Jason X or Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Like for instance, like just seeing Jason turn into a zombie, come back to life by getting struck by like lightning. Let's see what else. Jason finding a girl with like telekinesis. Like it is definitely a spectacle, but just seeing how like they hint to the Necronomicon was used in like Jason's creation. Director was all like, Jason was a deadite from Evil Dead. I think it's wacky. I mean, I don't really believe that part, but regardless, believe what you want. But that's what the director said. And like for instance, people eating Jason's heart to become him, and then like all the body swapping, and I don't know, that stuff was wild. But like to be honest, I liked it a lot when Jason was more like himself, doing what he did best, just slashing the fools. I just think like the series went like too off the rails. Again, I still haven't seen Jason X, but that being said, I might like the reboot though. It's doubtful because I know that they weren't really well, like appreciated. But you never really know. So I'm gonna kind of talk about Freddy now, which again, as I said, like the the series got more wacky as it went on. But I feel like with Freddy, it made a little bit more sense to go in that direction. Jason was definitely like more serious and stuff. But once again, let's talk about Freddy and the first film, which I thought it was really good. It had some pretty neat slashes. I'm just gonna say that instead of the other word because I don't want to get like suppressed in the algorithm. But I thought Nancy was a really cool character, and I'm just glad that she got brought back like a couple times throughout the series. Obviously, there were less one-liners in the first one, because Freddy does have a lot of crazy one-liners. But like, I completely understood the first one. Freddy just wanted to get his revenge, getting it. Minus Nancy, who kind of screwed him over. I thought it was cool. He got his revenge on the with the kids because the adults threw him in the boiler and stuff. But I just find it funny that every time he dies, he like comes back, and sometimes it's just like, huh? How? Like it seems like he's like never truly dead, and he's always coming back like stronger than ever. Like what is he? Is Freddy getting Zenkai boost, dude? Is Freddy like a Saiyan, bro? I don't know. I definitely do think Freddy is like my favorite over Jason though, specifically because of the one-liners. Like they're like a bunch of memorable lines like "Welcome to prime time, bitch," like from 3. And as I said, the series was more straightforward when it started, but it got to the point of like body horror, and it got super wacky with like dream warriors, bringing other people into your dream. And if the others die, the warrior gains their special talent. Like, it's just wacky, bro. Like in 5, like I said, the body horror, it was just weird and like creepy. Some of the visuals were like that they were able to pull off, which is why I'm just going to talk about like practical effects. I really appreciate it when movies do that now. Obviously back then they didn't really have too much like CG and stuff, but when they did use it, it wasn't very good. But like just practical effects is like where it's at in my opinion. But I get that the series is about a guy slashing people in the dreams, so it being wacky makes a lot more sense. Because after the first few films, it's just like, why is he still slashing? Why is he still trying to get his revenge? Because especially when like the new kids move in on Elm Street, and it's not even like the same families, but I guess Elm Street is his hunting ground. But it just kind of like the whole point of him, getting people is because he's trying to get his revenge. But I don't know. I just think it got really really wild. Like him having a daughter was kind of whack. I don't know. Again, I think the Jason movies and slashes are more well rounded. So I think Jason is like more well rounded, and Freddy was just like a neat concept. But I don't know. I like Freddy more. Wes Craven's New Nightmare though is where the movies were like in universe and Nancy was like an actress. I thought that was pretty weird. It was cool, but I don't know. I just hope in the future we get some good reboots or something. And when I say the future, I mean like the future, because again, I know they can't really do that right now because of like disputes and stuff. I'm just worried we won't have the legend Robert Englund reprising his role again. Like if we take a little too long, because he's like 70 right now, and man, I don't know. I'm just kind of worried about that, man. But I do love how he played himself in some of like background characters in some of the movies. I could go on and on about both series pretty much, but I just want to talk about them just a little bit, get some of my thoughts out there. Before I leave though, I do want to say I thought Scary Terry from Rick and Morty was just like a dumb joke, but like after watching Freddy films and stuff, I thought it was pretty accurate because he keeps saying "beh beh beh" like every second, and yeah, that's definitely Freddy's catchphrase. But yeah, I guess that's about it. See ya.